Welcome to Teachers in Real Estate, a podcast with your host, Jackie Durbin. I've built a six-figure income from using what I learned from being a teacher. Teachers make great agents, but guys, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Some people are cutthroat. Some clients will make you want to throw in the towel, but your years in education have built you for a career in real estate, and I am here to help you. With the right mindset and the right tribe, you can experience the same success. You can either supplement your income as a part-time agent or go full-time in real estate. The tools I will share will help you gain the confidence and expertise to reach your goals. Whatever your goals, let's enjoy this time together. This podcast is geared towards teachers who are looking to get their start in real estate and teachers who are already rocking those dual careers. If that's you, grab your notebook, a pencil, and buckle up. We are about to begin Teachers in Real Estate. Well, hey guys, how are you all doing? I always say that I'm excited about the episode, but I really am excited about this episode because I have been getting a lot of messages on social media about what is it really like being a real estate agent? Or what was it like my first year? How many transactions did I close? Did I really make money? Like lots of really good questions. And I think that's probably why I'm the most excited about this actual recording of this episode, because I am going to talk about that. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about behind the scenes of the real estate transaction. Now, one of the things I want to tell you is each transaction will be different. There will be nothing that will be the same. It is just like teaching, meaning like as teachers, we can't just take our lesson plan book from last year and then just like rinse and repeat, right? You can't do that because the students are always different. They have different needs. Maybe they change up the Common Core. Maybe, whatever it is, right? There's changes all the time. Same thing in real estate. It doesn't matter if you're always working with buyers. Every single buyer will be different. Each buyer will have different needs. They'll come with different experience. They'll have different fears. So it really is just like teaching. And I know I say that a lot. And I know you've heard this many times on this episode or on this podcast, but teachers make great real estate agents. And what I want to do really in this episode is give you realistic expectations, okay? And when I say that, please don't think like, oh yeah, no, I'm failing and I'm never going to be good at this. No. Okay, first of all, we're not going to have that type of mindset, okay? We're not going to have that fixed mindset of, well, it's always been like this, so it's always going to be like that. I was not like that as a teacher, okay? I was not the teacher who would have like a rough class, right? No matter if it's behavior-wise or academic challenges. I did not look at something and say, well, there's nothing I can do, so I'm going to throw in the towel. And I would assume if you are listening to this podcast, you have a similar mindset as me. So let's go ahead and talk about some different myths, right? And I want to thank our dear friends of Netflix, Hulu, all these other different, podcasting, not podcasting, but shows, right? These different platforms that only show certain parts of real estate. Now, I will tell you this. I love Selling Sunset. Love it. I love the drama. I love the real estate. I love the fact that like I can watch these women just basically be bosses in an industry that is predominantly mostly men who usually have huge success. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be an amazing real estate agent as a female, because I'm going to tell you right now, no, there's being able to pee standing up does not make you a better realtor, okay? Having hair on your chest doesn't make you a better realtor. The fact that you can grow a beard, again, not a prerequisite to be successful. What it takes to be successful in real estate are the exact same things that it takes to be successful as an educator. And one of those things is perseverance. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about some of my transactions. So someone recently asked me on social media, when I posted one of those, hey, ask me any questions on my story. Someone said, how many transactions did you close in your first year? That would be really easy. It was one. I had one listing. And so as a teacher, I always had side hustles. And one of the things that I did was I was a wedding officiant. And so the wedding that I did, it was a great couple, first of all. They were amazing. But I'd never been to a wedding that had a bar open for marijuana. Yes, you heard that first. Okay, so I live in Arizona where recreational marijuana is legal. And anyhow, so they had this bar opened up where people could, like, they had edibles, they had cupcakes, they had people, like, they had cartridges that you could smoke, they had all these different things. Okay, it was the wildest thing. But the couple was super sweet. And so anyhow, we're sitting there and we're signing the marriage license. And they were like, yeah. I was like, so, like, what's up next? Are you all going on a honeymoon? Like, what's your plans? And they were like, well, we're getting ready to move to Florida. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's exciting. What's in Florida? And so we talked and chatted. And I was like, so, are you going to be buying a house in Florida? And they were like, well, probably not right away, but we do need to sell our house here in Arizona. Hello, I'm a realtor. I just helped you say I do, and I'm signing your marriage license. If you trust me with this, obviously you're going to trust me with your real estate transaction. So what I did was I already had their phone numbers, so I stayed in contact with them. I had a reminder in my calendar on my phone because at the time I wasn't using my CRM. And so, anyhow, every month on their anniversary, I would send them a text message that said, happy 1 month anniversary, happy 2 month anniversary. And I just kind of stayed in contact with them. And then at the year, I called them and I told them, that I wanted to wish them a happy wedding anniversary and that I had a gift and I'd love to bring it by to them. And guess what happened? When I went to give them a gift, they told me that they were ready to move and they wanted me to sell their house. That was the only transaction I did in that year. Um, and when I say I did it, actually, I had a lot of help from my husband because I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And the brokerage that I was at the time didn't really have a mentor program. So, well, actually, I'm not even going to say they did not have a mentor program at all. And so, luckily, I had my husband, who was an experienced agent. He was able to help me through that transaction. But that's the reality, especially, and I will say this, I was still teaching full time. So I wasn't really prospecting. The only people that I was getting as new, like people that I had never met, was just through officiating weddings. And so what I started doing was every time I would officiate a wedding, I started doing the exact same thing. I would send them, a happy 1 month anniversary, happy 2 month anniversary, happy 3 month. And then I always sent it from my work phone, and my work phone had my signature at the bottom that said Jackie Durbin, Realtor, blah, 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 blah. And then it had the brokerage that I was with. Um, and so as time went on, guess where a lot of my referrals came from? From those people that I helped at their wedding because I was already in their life. Now, let's go ahead and relate how we prospect in real estate and how we prospect in teaching. Now, you do not, as a teacher, have to go out and like recruit students for your classroom, right? What I typically recruited for when I was teaching was relationships with other educators in my building. And the reason why I did that was because I knew if I needed help, they could help me. And I didn't want to go to, say, like teacher A and ask for something when I knew that that wasn't their scope of reference, right? So prospecting was the same thing. Now, fast forward, that was 2019, 2020. 2020 to 21, I sold nothing. Obviously, COVID happened. There was lots of stuff going on. I was teaching full time. I was running everywhere, and it was really hard. 2021, I left teaching. Most of you all know that if you've heard my story of when I left teaching, but I left in 2021, went full time into real estate with my husband. And in that first full year, I closed 8 transactions. Now, that's not one a month, okay? And it took me about 3 months in to actually have people who were ready to write offers and to go look at houses. But let's go ahead and stop there and talk about behind the scenes of the transaction in real estate. So, when the transaction starts, it starts with prospecting. So, how are you going to get in front of people who don't already know you? Um, the way that I found the most effective way was through open houses. Now, I will tell you this, this is not geared just towards female. This is anyone who is in real estate, but the real estate industry is the highest assaulted industry that requires a license. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that to freak you out or make you think that horrible things are going to happen to you, but what I'm going to tell you is you need to be aware of your surroundings. Okay. The moment you start feeling safe is probably when you're letting your guard down and you're not listening to your gut. I have never been assaulted as a real estate agent. However, at open houses, I typically have someone with me. It may be a lender who's going to go ahead and pre-qual people. It may be my husband because he's also a licensed agent. Now, let's say that your spouse is not a real estate agent. Can they come to your open house? Yes, they just can't answer questions. They can't talk about anything because they can't act like a real estate agent when they're not. Um, but anyhow, so the first step in that real estate transaction is finding clients who want to work with you. Once you find clients who are going to work with you, if they are buyers, which I prefer to work with buyers, sellers are okay, but it's just not my jam. I like to work with people that appreciate, not that sellers don't appreciate you. Okay, maybe I should edit that part out. Nope, I don't edit things. Okay, so buyers are looking for the perfect thing. And as a teacher, that was kind of what I did, right? Let me find the perfect lesson that's going to make everyone feel that they are accomplished, that they are successful, that they've reached whatever goal that they want, right? And so essentially, buyers were my jam. That's who I wanted to work with. Now, there's real estate agents that don't like to work with buyers because it's time consuming. Okay. Because the next part of the transaction is finding homes that check all of their boxes. Once you've found them, you're sending them to them. Then you're actually showing properties. And you could be showing a lot of properties to one set of buyers. Okay. Now, once you are showing them properties, obviously, then they're going to be ready to write an offer. Now, every single state is different. Okay, so I am only licensed in two states, Kentucky and Arizona. But in Arizona, our offer, our contract is 11 pages. And there's a lot in there. And as a new agent, I had no idea what the heck all of this vocabulary meant. And so, again, having a mentor was super helpful. It's no different than in teaching, right? Your first year of teaching, you have a kind of like a mentor. It's not really a mentor. In Kentucky, it was called a K-tip. So you had like a K-tip person who would kind of help you out with stuff. Make sure you knew what you were doing. Make sure that everything was done appropriately. Same thing in real estate. Um, Anyhow, once you go through that, then your offer may get accepted. And in Arizona, we call that opening escrow. So when you open escrow, what that means is, and in Arizona, again, this is only specific to my state, we are a title state. So what that means is there are not attorneys involved with transferring properties. Okay, we use a title company and they take care of all that information. In other states, they are what's called an attorney state. So they have a title company that does the title insurance, which is to make sure that, hey, guess what? This is their property and they can transfer it to you. And that way it's in your name. And they check and make sure there's no liens. They check and make sure that there's no HOA violations. And then the attorney is going to review all of the documents just to make sure that they're legal. Okay, so in Arizona, we don't have that. So once we open escrow, then there are multiple people now that are in play. You have the other agent, right? And if it's listed with a different agent, so they are partnering with you. You have the title company, right? You have a lender, unless obviously they're paying with cash. And you start having all these other people that are involved. And this is the thing that I think all of the real estate shows on the world miss out on. They don't show us all the steps. All they show us is, oh, look, they looked at this $10 million house. Now they're buying it. Oh, yay. And look, I'm going to ring a bell now and make money. No, that's not. You miss the whole middle part of it. And that's the part that's kind of stressful. It's like, remember at the end of the year when you're trying to keep the kids from, like not tearing each other apart. You're trying to keep them busy. You're trying to put your room all in boxes because that's what you have to do at the end of the year, which is crazy. Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to put all of our stuff in the classroom in a box when all we're going to do is take it back out and put it back out? Like it doesn't make sense, but whatever. Then we're writing report cards. If you're in a grade where those students are now going off to like a secondary school or whatever, you're getting all those files together. So there's like tons of stuff, right? That's what it's like going in escrow. Okay. So there's usually a good faith amount of money that these, your buyers are saying, hey, I'm going to pay this amount. We're going to put it in this company, the title company. We're going to give it to them. They're going to hold on to it. And if for some reason we try to walk away without just cause, you get to keep that. Okay. So it's kind of like it's like when you put something on layaway, right? Like, hey, I'm going to put this amount on it. And then if I don't come pay the rest of it, you can keep it. I think that's how layaway works. I don't know. It's been a long time since I was at Kmart. But anyhow, besides the point, I digress. Now you have certain amounts of time where there's deadlines. Okay. So you have so much time to have all the inspections done, right? Have the roof checked out, have the AC checked out, check to make sure that there's no termites or, gas or mold and all that kind of stuff, right? Then after you've done that, then you write a report. Here in Arizona, we call it the Benzer. It's the buyer inspection notice seller response. And what it is, the buyers of the property inspect it. They make a list of everything from the inspection that they would like to have repaired to move forward with the house. Then the sellers have a time to look at that inspection report, look at what your clients are asking to be fixed, and then they get to make a decision. They get to say, yes, I'm going to fix all this. Well, I'm only going to fix a couple of these things, or you know what, I'm not fixing any of it. And then the buyers get to finally decide, like, okay, well, we wanted these five things fixed. They're not fixing anything. Now we can walk away. And they would get their money back, right? So there's all these different things that happen. Now, after that, obviously, if they are financing the property, then the banker is going to come out and do an appraisal to make sure that the house is there. But here's the thing, there are times in that process that there's nothing going on, and there's times in that process that are super stressful, which to me is teaching every day, right? There's some days that I will plan the perfect lesson plans for the entire day, engaging, and you know what? Every single thing goes off without a hitch. And then there's days that I plan the exact same stuff and all the shit hits the fan and the shit is smeared everywhere, right? Real estate's the exact same way. Now, as a realtor who was a teacher for 20 years, there's so many similarities between teaching and real estate that there's days that I'm like, of course I can do this, right? Because I have patience and I know how to communicate and I have the ability to problem solve. So when you walk into the classroom on that first day of school, right, you never know what to expect. You may have a plan in place, but it's important to be flexible, right? To adapt to the needs of your students. The same is true for each and every real estate transaction. When you start working with clients, you never know what obstacles are going to arise. It's important to be adaptable and to come up with creative solutions to help your clients achieve those goals. One of the first things that you did, probably as a teacher, was to get to know your students. This is where we as teachers, whether past, present, whatever, this is where we excel because guess what? Same thing in real estate. The first thing you need to do is get to know your clients. You want to learn about their interests. You want to learn about their strengths. You want to know what their needs are. What are they looking for? What's their budget? By getting to know your clients, you can serve them better throughout the transaction. Now, I told you before that I am not great with sellers. They're not my favorite people to work with. And the reason why is because what wasn't my first seller, because that was the story I was telling you about with the wedding. But the second set of sellers that I had, um, my teacher skills didn't come out. I forgot one of the most important things. I forgot about communication. I assumed that they knew what they were doing. And it reminded me of the first year that I taught early primary. So when I was teaching, fourth and fifth grade was my jam. Fifth grade's my absolute favorite. Love fifth graders. I love the content that I teach. I love how they're gaining independence. They're super like they're awesome for small moments, right? Once it gets hot and then you have to have the deodorant talk, that's not fun. But anyhow, as when I was teaching early primary, I forgot that I had to tell the kids what the expectations were. Um, I was teaching third grade. It was the first year that I had taught third grade. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is great content. I'm excited to have a new grade level because I'd gone from kindergarten to third. And I was so excited about what I was going to be teaching that I forgot about that first 2 weeks of school when I really needed to teach procedures and expectations of my classroom. And because I jumped into content and forgot about building that classroom community, it was the worst year. It was my absolute worst year of teaching. I felt like I was constantly on edge. I was always hollering. I wasn't happy. Um, I was constantly redirecting behaviors. And the reason why is because I failed. Oh, I didn't fail, but I missed a step. Okay. Same thing with those sellers. So the sellers that I had for my second listing that I ever had, um, I didn't set up expectations and how we would be communicating that met my needs as well as theirs. I assumed that they had sold a house before and they kind of knew what was going on. And so when the listing went live and I started getting requests to be able to show the property, I would text them like, hey, someone wants to see the house this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Is that okay? Because obviously I have to get approval from my sellers before I just start letting people in the house. And I wouldn't get a text back immediately. And I would get frustrated because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to let this agent know if they can see the house in like 3 or 4 hours. Um, and I remember getting super frustrated and I told my husband, that's it. You can handle this one. I'm no more. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun. And after the home actually closed, I thought to myself, what did I miss? And it was the communication. I didn't say, hey guys, during this process of selling your home, people are going to, like right now, the inventory is low. And so when people see your house, it's going to be a very desirable house because of the number of bedrooms, because of the backyard, because of the amenities that you have in the neighborhood, because of the way that you have the home showcase. This is going to be a very popular listing. And so we're going to be getting a lot of showing requests. Now, what works best for you? Should I just say, like, hey, this time to this time every day is always okay to show properties? Do you want me to text you each and every time? Now, when I do text you, I'm going to put in the notes on the MLS so that way agents know, like, hey, you need to give me a 12-hour notice. Don't be messaging me and requesting a showing in a half an hour because that's not going to work. Um, I never set up those guidelines. And what it did was it set me up for failure. Not really failure, but hard times, problem solving. I was really going to have it rough. It's no different than when like the kids walk in the first day and you want them to know where to put their notebooks because you're like, well, you've been in school before, right? Like you've been in school, you should know where to put a notebook. And you don't teach them. You don't tell them. There's no communication. There's no buy-in. That's the exact same thing with real estate. Behind the scenes of real estate in a transaction, there has to be clear communication. Do not assume that they know anything or they know how you work, right? So, as a teacher, another thing, you spend lots of times communicating with your students, their parents. You provide updates on their progress, right? You answer questions. You probably do like a newsletter. I knew I always used to do a newsletter. Like every Friday, I would send out something, or, I would create something for Monday so that way they would know, like, hey, this is what's coming up this week and all that kind of stuff. I would offer guidance, right? Like if I knew that a lot of, like if a group of students or even one student was struggling, I would offer some guidance. In real estate, you have to do the exact same thing. You have to keep your clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, you have to keep them informed throughout the transaction. You have to provide updates on the status of a transaction. You have to be available to answer those questions that they may have. Because if there's no communication, somebody's always going to be pissed off, right? So like let's think, okay, let's talk teaching, right? Let's say that there's no communication. You never send home anything. You never talk to parents about their students' progress, and then report cards come out and someone's failing. Somebody's going to be pissed off at you, right? Why am I just now seeing that my child is failing? Why, if you wait until conferences, which is, what, like 5, 6 weeks into the beginning of the year, and that's the first time you possibly tell a parent, hey, I think that, your child needs help with this. If that's the very first time, you've missed out on 5 weeks. Realtors, guys, if you are dealing with buyers and sellers, you should be talking to them regularly. Not, and maybe it's not every day, maybe it is every day, but it's at least a couple times a week because they're going to have questions. And if they're selling their property, that may be the house that they brought their kids home. That may be a house that was passed down. Maybe their parents passed away and it's an estate and they're selling their parents' home and it's sad. Or maybe they're buyers and, this is the first time they're buying a house. Or maybe they're investors and this is the first time that they're going to be adding a home to their investment portfolio. Be there. Don't wait for them to ask questions. That's the biggest thing. Okay. That's the thing behind the scenes that no one ever talks about. Do not wait for your clients to ask questions. Give them information all the time, right? So, like if you're teaching in the front of the room, you're teaching something that, may be complex or maybe it's just new, right? Do you wait for the kids to ask questions? Like if you're seriously standing in front of the room and you're teaching long division to these little babies and they've never done it before and they're just staring at you, if you are assuming that they know what you're doing, you are not doing a good job of teaching, right? How do we know that they understand? We ask questions. And so it's the same thing with real estate. Another important aspect, I think, of teaching and behind this, or about, with teaching is problem solving, right? So during the behind the scenes of a transaction, you are going to encounter challenges. Okay. You're going to, and you may have issues with a property inspection or difficulties with financing. It is your job to find solutions to those problems, right? We want to keep the transaction moving forward. Guys, there are so many similarities between teaching and real estate. I mean, I could do a podcast on it. Ha ha, pun intended. But guys, really, both of these professions require patience, communication, problem solving skills, adaptability. As a realtor, I have found that my experience as a teacher, and I think you're going to find it the same, has helped me to be more successful in my career. By understanding these similarities between these two professions, I'm better able to serve my clients and help them achieve their goals. And that's what it's all about, right? Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Join me next time. Guys, this job is hard, but you as a teacher, guess what? Teaching's not easy either. Keep it up. Reach out to me if I can help. Make sure to rate and share this podcast if you would, so that others can find it more easily. If you happen to be listening to this on your phone right now, take a screenshot of your phone, put it on your Instagram, and tag me at Jackie Durbin AZ. That's JACKIEDURBINAZ. Reach out to me with any questions about getting licensed, gaining business. If you are a licensed real estate agent right now and you're like, okay, I'm ready to leave teaching either because of retirement or maybe because of financial reasons, guys, reach out to me. I am looking for partners in all 50 states. I currently have agents in multiple states who are getting help from me. And guess what? They're leaving teaching. Not because they are like, oh my gosh, teaching's horrible. No. They're retiring, okay? Or things have changed in their family and they need to be able to have a more flexible job. They need to be able to sustain more money, whatever it is, right, guys? I'm not going to judge you because I left teaching and went into real estate. But guys, I'm always here to help. So I will see you next time on Teachers in Real Estate. Bye, guys.